In the analyze phase of this project, I mentioned that one of my goals for a student to be able to graduate is to use some of the technology tools that are out there to be effective in the workplace. I mentioned that I would like students to be able to learn how to use online job search tools, submit online applications, and also have the skills necessary to communicate effectively in the workplace. I attended a conference this summer by an organization called Best Prep, up in the Twin Cities metro area. And one of the issues that came up with a couple of panel discussions is the fact that our students do not necessarily have the communication tools necessary to write effective emails, to effectively write documents, to communicate effectively within the workplace. And I'm using my personalized learning environment to try to address that. With that in mind, I'm going to look primarily in this video at my work study course. I'm going to open that up. And what you're going to see in terms of what I require my students to do is, first of all, work study form is just a document where they work and the hours and contact information and stuff like that. I have set up a series of discussion forums. If you open those up, these are questions that I pose to the students that I'm grading based on using complete sentences, developing your thought, that type of thing. And we'll click one of these open to see. I've been able to develop rubrics that are very clearly communicated to the students. So I'm trying to teach students to look to see what is exactly expected of them and to use rubrics to guide what they need to do to complete their assignments. If you'll notice that my excellent on this rubric and all of my rubrics encourage things like complete sentences. I believe that's very important, okay, as well as timeliness and things like that. Clicking back out of that, a lot of the work I'm asking my students to do are in things called classrooms assignments. And I mentioned in some of my documentation that I'm making very heavy use of the Google app to do this. And so if I click edit, you can kind of see how one of these things is set up. This is a format that I'm using. So it gives some instructions. In this case, they're fairly straightforward. Here's a document that I asked the students to read in this particular case. And finally here, and this is from the Google app, it creates a question bank for each student that students can then open up, share with me. We have communication back and forth in terms of their responses. And these are, like everything else I've been doing, open to the students pretty much at any point in time, so that if they get behind or they want to work ahead, they can. Some of these presentations have slideshows and other modalities, again, to give students choice. To see what one of those looks like to the student itself, him or herself, I'll click it open. And you'll see the instructions, as I mentioned, the document that they need to open up to work on it. Very clear rubrics. I've really made a point of emphasis, and I think this is very important in a personalized environment, that it's very clear what I need students to do to get credit. So I've worked really hard on trying to develop a good rubrics. That's not something I've been really strong at, particularly as a math teacher. You don't get a lot of practice doing it, so I've been working on that. But you can see here is a stress of complete sentences to, again, address trying to create graduates that can really communicate as necessary in a business environment. Obviously penalized if you don't do that. I really want students to not just write things, but actually have it form a basis within the article itself in this particular assignment, and things in terms of due dates and stuff like that, which is there. So this is where, again, I'm trying to stress more of the both some personalized aspects to it. Like every other course in Schoology, this one too has a grade book in which students can kind of track where they're at. Okay, and I should just show you that. You can view a course again. This is what a student sees. In this particular case, this student would see this. And this gives it a measure of what the students need to complete. And again, my comments as well. it, like everything else, is in different forms of development. But eventually, when this is pushed out to a student, everything will be right in front of a student and given some expectations in terms of timing and what needs to be done and personalized for that individual student. Okay, thank you.